Five, four, three, two.
Bienvenidos una vez más a Entérate Minnesota. ¿Cómo están, amigos? Les doy las gracias por estar con nosotros. Hoy vamos a tener a uno de los candidatos para el Senado de Minnesota. Welcome to Entérate Minnesota. Royce White, thank you so much for coming to Enterate Minnesota, Minnesota Latin Radio.
Yeah,
How are you?
I'm great. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I'm so happy you are here.
Yeah.
I want you tell us a little bit about you. I don't think a lot of people in the Latino community know who you are. I know you were a basketball, obviously, basketball player. You have the size for sure. Tell us about you.
I mean, where to begin? I guess the short answer is I'm a true son of Minnesota.
Okay.
Five, six generations on either side of my family. Yeah, very diverse heritage. Black, obviously. I have two grandfathers who were black, but both of them married first generation immigrants. My
Wow.
grandfather on my mother's side married a first generation immigrant from Norway, and
Wow.
my grandfather on my grandfather's side, my mother's father's side, married a first generation immigrant from Aguascalientes, Mexico.
Oh, wow. See,
And
you have
and
some Mexican.
yeah, Mexico. My
Yeah.
family helped build the West Side, brick by
Wow.
brick.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, they
The
helped build the
best,
West Side.
the
Yeah,
best food in Minnesota.
Our Lady Guadalupe is was our family parish, and when my grandmother first settled here in the early 1900s, 1920s, her and my grandfather Francisco Francisco Rangel, he was actually the honorary consulate to Mexico from by way of Chicago, and helped a lot of
Wow.
early Mexican families settle on the West Side back when the Jews first moved away from the Upper West
The
Side
Upper
into
West
the
Side.
flats.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
very interesting.
Yeah, no, I mean I'm Minnesota through and through, and I'm St. Paul through and through. West Side, the Rondo community. I'm a real son of the Twin Cities. Like my roots are deep.
That's amazing. Tell me about your career as a basketball player.
My career as a basketball player was blessed.
Awesome.
Yeah, blessed. I was fortunate enough to be an All-American in high school. I was an All-American in college. I was drafted to the NBA. I had a little bit of trouble with the NBA. We had some philosophical differences, political
Of
differences,
course.
and but I spent 2 years playing professionally in Canada. We won two national championships. I was an MVP and scoring leader there, and then
Wow.
I spent about 5 years playing in the Big Three League with Ice Cube, the three on
Oh,
three
yes.
league. Yeah, I've been playing in that for the last 5 seasons. Last year I didn't play in it for the first time in 5 years. So, I'm still playing professional basketball in a sense.
Oh,
As
that's
long
amazing.
as you get paid to play, you're a professional, right?
Oh, a hundred
So
percent.
yeah.
Well, tell me with this interesting background, what it makes you like? What do you decide to run for the Senate in Minnesota?
Well, two things. I ran for Congress in 2022
Yeah.
in CD5, and I
Yes.
tried to run against Ilhan Omar. I lost an endorsement by about 30 to 40 votes.
Really?
Republican,
That was it?
yeah, and the endorsement process and
Right.
the
Right.
CD5 convention, where they endorse their candidates.
Chef.
And then I went on to lose the primary by 900 votes
Oh.
in an election that only had 10,000 Republicans voting in the 2022 midterm. So
Yeah.
we didn't have great voter turnout. And instead of
Right.
quitting and saying, "Hey, I'm done," I said, "Let's go for a bigger office. I want to know what the rest of
Yes.
Minnesota thinks
Yes.
about some of these issues." And then we went through an entire transformation in this country between 2022 and 2024.
Ugh.
And by the time I ran in 2024, I had won the endorsement. I won a primary, a statewide primary. And the reason, that's the how it happened. But the reason is because 100 United States senators run this country.
Oh, yeah.
People got to understand that the United States Senate is the power of this great nation.
Right.
And it's my opinion that the entire United States Senate is captured by special interests and lobby money.
100%.
It really is. I mean, it's actually sickening. It disgusts me
Yeah.
to see what the United States Senate has become. Even now, with the Republican majority under President Trump, they're still slow to move that agenda in a way that I think is necessary. So
Right.
we have to do something about the United States Senate. And how captured it is. There's like a running belief
Yes.
that in order to even run a United States Senate campaign, you have to have already pre-committed your integrity
Oh,
to a lobby. right?
Yeah,
Because you need $10 to $20 million,
of
conventionally,
course.
to run one of these races. And the American people, all people who live in this country, have to ask themselves, why should you even need $30 to $40 million to win a United States Senate seat?
That's kind
I mean,
of
that kind of says
nonsense.
right there,
Yeah,
we're bought and paid for, right?
right.
Right.
And I see it too because, for example, I never see. Let's put an example. We have the fraud. I never see Amy Klobuchar or Amy Craig
Talk about the
or
fraud.
Tina Smith coming out and
Right.
say, okay, a press conference about it. No, they just. But if Donald Trump says something, they will come and say, oh, see, Donald Trump is attacking minorities again.
That's
you
right.
know,
That's
so
right.
it's kind of I can see that. We don't have the best integrity when it comes
Yeah.
to
Crisis of
this.
integrity
Yeah,
in the U.S.
yeah,
Senate, but it's in politics in America, in
and
general.
yeah, in
So,
general, yeah,
yeah.
we have kind of that issue.
Yep.
So, what are you hoping for this coming? You are running for the Senate.
Yep.
Um, what do you think you will do different this time?
Different than in 2024. Well, in 2024, we flipped 29 counties
Yeah.
from the previous Amy Klobuchar opponent in election. And I had the second most votes in the history of the Republican Party for United States Senate.
Okay.
I'm the first United States Senate candidate, nominee, born in the 1990s in America.
Oh, wow.
I was fortunate to be the first Black person in the history of Minnesota to be nominated or endorsed to run for United States Senate. So
Yeah.
my first campaign in 2024 was historic. This campaign, we want to be more strategic. And part of that was just getting started earlier, not to, wait until now
Now.
to start campaigning. I started campaigning as soon as the 2024 election was over. And I think, the difference between my campaign and most politicians' campaign is I'm brutally honest.
Right.
And ultimately, Minnesota has chosen the Democrats for a long time for a number of reasons, but none of them make much sense.
Yeah.
If you look at the net result of Democrat policy, all you have to do is step outside of your house or your work or your kid's school or a hospital here in Minnesota, and you can see that we have huge problems,
Yeah.
problems that have been festering for a long time. And so, I always tell people, I'm going to tell you the truth. You get to decide.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel about this election. That's how I feel about all elections and all politicians.
100%.
I'm going to tell them the truth. You get the government you deserve. And so, to do differently, we're going to start earlier, try and reach more people. But ultimately, the citizens of Minnesota have to decide what they want from their government and their representatives.
Yeah, definitely. Something is very similar to how I feel. Obviously, I'm not running for any political place
Yeah.
but the for me, it's like I feel that we've been so manipulated in this state, especially in the country for all together.
Yeah.
But I feel that in this state, we've been so manipulated. I'm glad that things are coming out with the fraud. We have $18 billion surplus, and now we are projecting $6 billion deficit.
Mhm.
We decline in education. We have high taxes. We have crime rising. It's like it's hard to defend.
It is.
It is hard to defend.
It should be. You would think.
Like,
But yet you
okay.
still find Democrats and even the mainstream media who
Yeah,
defends it.
yeah.
I mean, how do you even justify having an $18 billion surplus and then going to a $6 billion deficit? It's called bad fiscal policy, bad monetary
100%
monetary budgeting. But
under this administration, it is happening. All
but
the
it's not.
crime.
But it's not by coincidence.
I feel the same way.
Our entire
I think
country,
it's been
the country's $38 billion in debt. We have
See?
$172 trillion in unfunded liabilities. $38 trillion in debt, not billion. I'm sorry. And we have $170 trillion in unfunded liabilities. We are a debt-based society. Now, the problem with debt, and I say this in support of President Trump and some of the things that he's trying to do, the debt may increase temporarily. The question is, what does the debt go towards?
Right.
And even in real estate, all debt isn't bad debt.
Right.
If you
becomes an investment.
yes,
Yeah.
if you go into debt for something that's going to give you a return, that's just fine. That's called good business.
Yeah.
But for so long in this country, our debt has gone to fund our enemies.
Yes.
I mean, that is a very indicting a proposition. Not only are we going in debt, we're actually funding the destruction of our own country. Whether you talk about China and the rise of the Chinese empire that's diametrically opposed to American values, or you look at all the money that we've thrown there in the Middle East, and I'm not just saying to Israel, even cartels. The cartels. That is right. Amen.
Amen.
Amen to that.
Someone like, some people come and say, well, they're offending the Somali community, and I say, well, there is a problem with the fraud. Obviously we don't say all Somalis. I know very close friend of mine, they are wonderful and very good, nice people that I love and embrace them, but we know Somali community have a problem with fraud. They are responsible for like 90% of the fraud in Minnesota.
Is it wrong to say that? I mean,
why is wrong to say that?
It'd be like saying we shouldn't mention that Mexico has a problem with cartels.
That's exactly what I was going to tell you.
And the Gen Zers, and God bless the Gen Zers in Mexico, showing up at that embassy in the last several weeks here and saying we're sick of the crime. And they understand that
to Donald Trump to come and help.
They understand what's profound about it is they understand, the Gen Zers in Mexico understand that crime itself is a form of tyranny,
100%.
and it's a manifestation of government policy. And we have a similar problem here, not with the cartels. Our problem here is different. We seem to tell this little slick story like the drug trade begins and ends in Mexico or wherever else.
Nope.
They don't manufacture any weapons or bullets down there in Mexico.
Right.
So the guns that they're using, we got to take accountability for that part of it as well. And we should do something about that. And I think President Trump's trying to. But it just goes to show, like, crime is government policy.
Yes.
You're not going to be able to get rid of all crime, but crime in Mexico and crime here in the United States has become preponderant on purpose.
I know. Purpose. I feel this orchestrated. Absolutely. Yeah, I feel the same way. And again, I don't know why we always have to use the race card to justify something. Like you said, when people come, I'm the first one to say, yeah, we do have a problem. What we can do about it? Let's try to do something and embrace the people who literally, you have no idea how many people in Mexico want Donald Trump to come and help with the cartel.
I said we should annex Mexico. No, seriously. I said that a year back. People thought I was crazy, and I said to people, if you want to talk about the technical jurisdiction of a nation and sovereignty and all of those things, fine. And I think there's a lot of importance to the nation, to nationhood and citizenship and borders. Obviously, it's a huge part of my platform. But at the end of the day, the United States of America guarantees the security of the entire Western Hemisphere. And that's why President Trump has consistently been talking about a hemispheric strategy. And that includes Mexico, maybe first of all. And honestly, I wouldn't mind Mexico becoming another state. Now, there are a lot of America Firsters and MAGA folks who would say, we don't need Mexico's problems to be our problems. Let Mexico survive on Mexico's. But Mexico's problems do become our problems. We see that clearly. And I said we should annex Mexico. And I think the people of Mexico would does Mexico have to become a part of the United States? No. But what's the difference? I mean, the point of the matter is Mexico is a failed state. Seriously, by all measures, it's a failed state.
We have Mexico is one of the most beautiful countries.
Yes, it is.
Europe is so beautiful and people is so nice, and we have the most harder worker people. Yep. I think, but again, our government sometimes get compromised with the cartels, and I think it's hard to divide that. And again, I think it's been generation of people who are exhausted and fatigued about the control of the cartels.
Well, yeah, when tyranny builds up, it's hard to stop that momentum. The number one thing that Mexico's number one problem, and I say this with all honesty, it's corruption in the cartel, but it's also their Second Amendment laws.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Mexico has some of the strictest gun laws in the entire world. And there's a reason why only the cartels and the government have guns.
Yeah.
It's a problem. If the Mexican people were better armed and they had guns, I'm not saying they'd be able to defeat the cartels, because the cartels obviously play by a different set of rules, but it wouldn't be as over the top as it is now. I think the Mexican people are, they've, cattle led to slaughter. They're just innocent bystanders, defenseless, innocent bystanders,
Yes.
all throughout Mexico. And, it needs to come to an end, and obviously their current president is not interested in that. She actually was on the record saying that to go after the cartels would be against the law. What do you mean? How is it unlawful to go after people who are obvious criminals?
Well, I think also because um, cartels are not only about drugs, it's
Yeah.
about human trafficking,
Right.
sex trafficking, child exploitation, guns.
Yep.
And I think in two sides of the country, America and Mexico, unfortunately, some of the politicians are compromised. So I think it's a lot linkage there.
Not some
It's
of
a
them,
big,
most of them.
most of them probably.
Most of them. That's why I'm running. And it's
Yeah.
not just the politicians in Mexico.
No,
It's
no, no.
the
I mean,
politicians in America
in
too.
America, of
Oh, for
course.
sure.
America
For
and
sure.
Canada, probably.
Oh,
You
if you
know.
believe, if you're out there and you believe that American politicians in the Congress, let's say, aren't getting a workaround or a kickback from the drug trade or the gun trade or the cartel business, then you're just naive and you're
Of
not
course,
really
yeah.
ready to face what this country of America or Mexico are really going through.
What will be the first thing you wanna change when if you win?
I don't have you know uh, false hopes about being able to change a body of people that's a Democratic majority body with 100 other individuals, 99 other individuals. I
Right.
plan to get to the United States Senate. I plan to get to the United States Senate and tell the truth. Somebody asked me the other day, well, how are you going to get legislation passed? We'll get legislation passed when the American people all across this great nation wake up and vote all 100 compromised United States senators out.
Yeah.
And hopefully I can be a voice for that and speak up for what's really going on from within the Senate. And if I have to abstain my vote, if I have to vote yes, if I have to vote no, my vote is going to represent the most honest vote in the United States Senate. That's what my
That's
goal
your
is.
goal.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, how do you feel about what is happening right now in Minnesota? You think that will help, like next year elections?
It should.
It
The
should.
first problem is, are our elections even secure? And we
How do
have
you feel about that?
no, they're not.
Probably
It's
not.
not even a question. It's not, and I don't say that to
Yeah.
discourage
No,
people
no,
from
no. Of
voting,
course, no.
because I think even if you think the elections are rigged, you still show up to be counted,
100%.
right?
Yeah.
You fight because you lose 100% of games you don't play.
In
You,
fact, it helps to prevent corruption and
yes,
in voting elections when you
yes,
go and vote.
you make it more difficult for
Yeah,
them to
for
cheat for
them to
sure.
cheat. Yeah.
Yeah, but I do think that there's massive cheating going on in a variety of ways. I think there's a lot of voter harvesting. I'd like to take a good look at the voter rolls. I think there's probably and I'm saying this conservatively. I'm taking half of the number that I've seen, 250,000 Minnesotans who are either dead or over an age that is still living, or
Right.
people who no longer live in the state, or all of these bad voter rolls. So there's that piece. There's a lot of voter harvesting, like at elderly homes, right? Where, if you're 90 years old and you need a full-time nurse to watch you, and they're going around helping you fill out your ballot, part of that could be considered, some elderly abuse or exploitation, and there are a lot of elderly homes in this state, right?
Right.
At least to the tune of 50 to probably 80,000 residents of senior living, which is a big number
Wow.
for an election. But then you have the machines, and so when I hear Amy Klobuchar and Kamala Harris and Jasmine Crockett all say that the machines can be hacked, and then Republicans tell me that it's conspiracy theory, I go, what do they have to do? Do they have to, knock your door down, sit down on your couch, pour themselves a nice beverage, turn your TV on, and put their feet on your coffee table? I mean, they're just telling you that there's cheating, and we still don't accept it. It's either naivety or it's compliant. We're complicit.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's absolutely true. I think is what I appreciate Elon Musk from getting Twitter and now X,
Yes.
and kind of start giving people like media, not the main media, but alternative media to start coming. And I think people is waking up. I
Yep.
really feel, especially in Minnesota, I am very hopeful the people is waking up. All this scandal about the fraud is coming like, okay,
Come
this
on
is,
now.
come on,
Come
like
on.
it's so obvious.
Yeah, no,
It's
we're
so
we're we're
obvious.
getting there. I think Minnesota, I think it's the whole country, but definitely Minnesota as well. Um, my concern, like I look at the numbers from 2024, and it's estimated that 1.1 million conservatives and Christians didn't cast a ballot who were voter age. And I think to myself, I go, one, is the number accurate? Because I mean, who's counting, right? But if it is accurate, I think to myself, I go, if conservatives and Christians in Minnesota still didn't vote in 2024 with everything that was on the line, I don't know if I can convince them. I hope I
Right.
can. I hope so.
Yeah.
But maybe people, either people don't believe in the process, people just have other things going on, but whatever the case may be, people need to get out and be involved
Yeah.
and vote
I
and
think
be counted. You got to be on
you
count. If you
have
don't
to.
count it, you're
You
not you're
know,
not a you're not a citizen.
I have people coming now to me and say, I want to get involved now
Yeah.
because I feel they are so worried about the generation, the children, and the children is like,
Yeah.
I'm worried about what's happening with this country in the next years if we continue this way.
Amen.
So, how do you feel about the Latino community in
Um,
Minnesota?
well, I think the Latino communities is a very I think the Latino community in Minnesota and all across this country is one of the fundamental pillars of our country.
100%.
There are, and it's funny because I'm all three heritages,
Yes,
black,
yes.
white, and
A
Latino.
Latino.
But I do believe that blacks and whites and Latinos are the backbone of America,
Mhm.
right? And you can get into what's black, what's white, what's Latino.
Right.
I always find it funny that you go to fill out your race on some of these government
Cards.
documents, and they put the Mexicans with the whites. It's funny.
Yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
and
yeah.
I both know.
Yeah,
You go to any
right.
Mexican household, we don't consider ourselves white,
Right,
right?
yeah,
My
yeah,
grandmother came from Aguas Calientes. She
yeah.
didn't consider herself white.
Yeah,
I'm Mexican, right?
yeah, yeah.
But I do think that the Latino community is starting to move in the right direction even quicker than the black community. And I think it's because of their strong Christian or Catholic
Values,
or
yeah.
religious culture.
Yes.
So, the one caveat is that immigration policy has become a very hot topic and contentious
Oh,
issue in politics.
yes.
So it automatically puts the Latino community in a tough position because they are a community that continues to immigrate to this country, as a demographic, as a demo, right?
Yes.
So it's hard if I'm Mexican, like my grandmother came here in the 1920s, but I still have younger descendants
Yeah.
who are going back and forth or coming from Mexico.
Yeah.
It becomes a touchy issue. And so I think, and I say this the same way I say to the Somali community. The answer to Somalia is not Minneapolis, it's in Somalia.
Yeah.
And the answer to Mexico is not in Minneapolis, it's in Mexico.
Right.
And if America can play one vital role going forward in the world, is to empower nations to become stronger nations where they are in their nation, not
Yeah.
stronger nations by some quasi quid pro quo partnership where we take your natural resources for pennies on a dollar, then you send your immigrants to our country.
Right.
Right? No, that's not
Yes.
that's
No,
not
probably
the
the most effective way.
that's not the business model anymore. We can't survive that way. Mexico has to become a better thriving nation so that maybe
Amen.
some of these people who came here, a lot of them want to return to Mexico. They wish they could. They love their
Yeah.
country.
Yeah.
They love
Mexico
their
is
heritage.
what not to love, right? It's a beautiful
Yeah,
country.
but when your major cities are riddled with cartel violence, yeah, people are going to flee,
Exactly.
and they're going to flee for what they think is better.
Yes.
They're not going to go flee to Venezuela
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it's
for
worse
sure. Or
in
Cuba.
some
Or,
senses. So,
yeah, for sure.
I think the Latino community has been, and will continue to be a backbone of this nation. We
Yeah.
just got to make sure that the Latino community understands the Democrats can sell you on unlimited immigration, and it may sound good on the front end, but it's
No.
not going to be beneficial. It's one of those. It's like eating too much sugar. It tastes great, but before you know it, you got cavities and high blood pressure.
Yeah, the thing with immigration is before, and I always say that to people, is immigration before Joe Biden and after Joe Biden.
Right.
Because before people come in very minimum amounts, start working, they don't qualify for any assistance. People work really hard, put their names on the list and wait 10, 15 years to become a resident. And in the meantime, they don't they are self-sufficient, right? They pay for their own things, and they pay taxes. In fact, I know people who own business like hair salons, roof painting companies, etc., who pay a huge amount of taxes. They don't get any in return, just waiting the opportunity to become residents.
Right.
And out of the sun, Joe Biden decided to open the border and bring people and fly people from
Yeah.
all people, and not necessarily the best, the people, right? And I'm not saying everybody, but it, when is the amount of people was so difficult because he put a lot of stress in healthcare and housing and
Yep.
education, and obviously the country become very vulnerable.
Yes. Yes.
So it is absolutely true. I hope the
Yeah,
people
we gotta look. We gotta
need
get
to gotta
15
this.
million people conservatively came into this country over 4 years.
Yeah,
4 to 8 and so it's
probably more. I mean, that we
maybe more.
know.
We don't know.
We
we
don't
don't know who's
know.
counting. I mean, if we
Yeah,
can't
who's
count our
counting?
votes, you can't
Yeah,
really count
exactly.
illegal immigrants. But um, you know, if you don't have a border, you don't have a country. I always give people this example. I'm a black man from America. Well, I'm black, Norwegian Mexican, but I'm
Yeah.
an American.
Yeah.
I can't just walk across China's border and live in China
Oh no.
and then demand that China pays me to
No, you
live there.
cannot go Mexico and do that.
What they do to you in China is they drag you out behind the building and they
Yes.
shoot you in the back of the head.
Oh yeah.
Like this is what it's really.
Other
And it's
countries put you in
and to be
jail.
quite frank, let's talk about Israel. Can I just walk into Israel and live there and demand that Israel pays me government
No.
assistance?
No.
Absolutely not. So you can't even do it in Canada.
No, not even Canada.
So
yeah.
I mean, I played in Canada for 2 years professionally, and as soon as my visa was expired, they were knocking on the door saying, "Hey, it's time for you to
You
go
need to
back
leave."
to America, or you need to renew your
Yeah.
work visa." So it's just a non-starter that we can have everybody come live in this country. We would like to have as many people as we can, and we want to continue to grow and invite new talent
Yeah.
and build up cities so that we can have as many people live here comfortably and prospering as possible. But there was letting 15 million people in this country was not to benefit them.
Right.
It was not to help them prosper.
No.
It was to destroy the fabric of the country.
Yes.
And it's going to hurt them. That's why look at the working class citizens in the Rio Grande Valley.
Yeah.
They are the future of this great republic. The working class Latinos
Yeah.
in the Rio Grande.
Yep.
They said, wait a minute. We just got here. We waited in line legally. And now you're sending more people here illegally. And we can't even get our services.
Exactly.
So it's gotta change.
That was a huge mistake. I will say they hurt the country the most.
Yes.
And I think as people get exhausted, and it's sad because the victims, the good people, the innocent people who really needed it or who can be a very good asset to America is having now these difficulties.
Yeah.
It's really sad.
It's there's never an easy way to clean up a huge mess.
So sad. It is so sad.
It's like I was telling a Somali gentleman the other day. He asked me about one of the young women who was mistaken by one of these ICE raids, and I said to him, I said, hey, was she released? He said, yeah. I said, was she given restitution? He said he didn't know. And this is a Somali man who I know from the Hopkins community for a long time.
Sure.
And I like him. He's a good guy. He's a faithful Republican, conservative. So I don't have no problem with him. But I told him there's no easy way to clean up a big mess. But I do think that with all the ICE raids, we have to do the best we can to make sure we're getting the right people.
Right.
And if we make a mistake, we need to apologize.
Yes.
And we may need to pay some restitutions. This is why we can't afford to send another couple $2 billion to Ukraine.
Right.
Because we have to get 10 million people out of this country here illegally.
Right.
And we may make a mistake and we have to pay those citizens who we do wrong to.
Yes.
We can't afford any extra.
Exactly.
Right.
That's a great point. I like that.
That's the type of thing I'd do in the U.S. Senate if I get elected. I'd say that, right?
Literally.
We can't afford to send $2 billion. We're going to have to spend money to clean up our country, and we're going to have to pay because there's no easy way to clean up a mess.
It's not easy.
No.
And it will be helpful if the state police or the participate, and instead to ICE have to come to our neighborhoods, that they bring the people who they know are criminals and give it to them.
Yes.
Because there's a lot of people who probably they don't have documents but are good people. They've been here for years, hard worker people, nice, you know.
Yeah, we got to put a we got to put a
we
we
have
got to
to
put a
put-
we got to put a timeline
we
on it.
gotta
We
put
I
a
mean we got to
line.
put a
Yes,
stop on it.
and stop.
If you came here before the Joe Biden
I'm agree
regime,
with you.
if you came here before Joe
Biden.
Biden, you're in a different boat.
Yes, I
If you came here
100%.
during the Biden administration, you're going back.
Yep.
Illegally.
I think so. Yeah,
Illegally. If you and you know what? You can go back and get in line and try and come to the country legally.
100%.
Nobody's saying that you can't try
Yeah.
and but if you came here during the Biden regime, you're going back. If you
Yeah.
came here before that, it's my opinion that it's not a strategic it's not strategically smart or possible to try and deport anybody who was here legally from the 1960s or 70s. It's just bad.
No,
It
it's
just
even 80s
because
because
if you were here from the 60s or 70s
yeah,
and you're not in jail for a crime, then that means you've been living here
legally-
30, 40 years as a good citizen.
exactly.
So we might as well let you live here.
Stay
Yeah.
100%, 100%. You know, I was talking with the farmers, and they told me, you know, we are so worried because our journal every day is 18 hours.
Yeah.
And she said the only who can really work these hours are the Latinos.
Yeah.
And I said, I know. So we want the hard worker people, to people who are very decent and nice to others and respectful and to assimilate the culture of America
Yeah.
to stay.
Yeah.
But the rest who wanna come and insult America, they need to leave.
Yeah.
They
Well,
need
no
to leave.
doubt. No doubt. And
By
it's not
minimum.
just Latinos.
No,
I mean,
I'm talking about any
yeah,
immigrant.
I mean, you know, you look at how many Syrians came through the border. Look how many Chinese nationals
Yeah.
came through the border. Look how many Africans came through the border illegally during the Biden regime. And all of them need to be pursued with
Afghanistan,
equal
Somalia,
Afghanistan, Somalia. Yeah.
it's
They all need to be pursued
Ecuador,
equally.
Nicaragua, yeah,
Even Eastern
Cuba.
Europe. Even Eastern Europe.
Eastern
There's a
Europe.
lot of, Eastern European immigrants that then, snuck their way in as well. And they need to go back too.
Yeah,
So
100%. Well, I want the best for you. I hope I wish you good luck. If you want to say
Gracias.
something to close for our Hispanic community.
Yeah, well, as one of you, and as one of you, Minnesota Hispanic man, I want to say thank you to my grandmother and grandfather, Crescencia and Francisco Rangel of the west side of St. Paul, and my entire west side Mexican family, wherever you may be, whether you still live here in Minnesota or you've moved to other places like California and whatnot. I got relatives in California.
Right.
Thank you for your love and the culture. I grew up with my god sisters and cousins having quinceañeras.
Oh,
and my daughter is 12 years old. She plans to have a quinceañera at 15.
Invite us.
Yes, I will. We'll do a big one. We'll do a big event, big spot. But I'm thankful for the Latino community and the Latino culture, the influence it's had on me, all of the hard work that they put in to make Minnesota a great place.
Yeah.
And we're going to need them going forward. It's one of my hopes that I can really connect with the Latino community and we could see a huge shift in the way the Latino community votes first and foremost in the 2026 election. I think that'll be a great sign for the direction of the country if Minnesota Latinos say, you know what, we know how we're supposed to vote, but we're tired of the Democrat policies. It's not benefiting us. I think that'll be a great day for this country.
Yeah, I think, I always told people it's not about Republican or Democrats. It's more like the values.
Yep.
And it's obvious wherever is happening in the last decade in Minnesota, it's just a proof,
The proof is in the pudding.
Exactly.
That's right.
It's so obvious. It's right there.
That's
So,
right.
well, thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
with us. Thank you, family of Enterate Minnesota. We appreciate your time and attention. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, my God.